And you're tuned to RTFM 94.6. I'm in our studio in Claris, and I've got Don Armitage here with me, who is going to talk to us about the soon-to-be published book, True Tales of Great Bear Island. Welcome, Don.
Oh, how do you do, Rent?
So I'm really looking forward to you telling us a little bit more about the book, because all I know is there's some stories about Great Bear Island. Tell us what the book is about.
Well, it's a 184-page book. It's A4 size. It's a colour cover and black and white on the inside. It's got about 100 short stories, up to 1,500 words long, that have been contributed by 60 or so different contributors. And there's about 200 mainly photos, but there's sketches and one or two cartoons in it as well. So it's a visual and a reading feast. I'm sure it will be a bestseller. It's, of course, it's true, and they're true tales about the history of Great Barrier Island, and from such a variety of people that coincident with that, you get a variety of content, and it is amazing and quite predictable that the variety is such a variety.
All right. So you had quite a few contributions. So tell us what types of stories kind of came in that you had to look at and consider for publication in this book.
Oh, how long's a piece of string? There were contributors who live on the island, contributors who are known to people who live on the island, and contributors who are probably unknown to anybody living on the island, but who have had a past history. Their ancestors have had an association with the barrier, and as a result, new history about the island is in the book. For instance, there's one descendant of a manager of the Great Barrier Land, Harbour and Mining Company that operated here in the late 50s, early 60s, and he's written a brilliant story about his ancestor and provided an old daguerreotype photo of his ancestor, which is unknown to people out here. So that's one. There are photos of being caught up in storms. There's a photo of a person here who's since died, spotting a German submarine parked off the barrier in 1945, which I found out was a very robust sighting. I've got to really...
Now, as you say, there's a lot of stories. Of the 100 contributions they received, how many actually made it into the book?
Oh, most of them. There was about 105 contributions, I think, or about 107, so 105 to 7, something around that. And, most of them made it into the book.
Okay. Now, you've been involved in history research for quite some time. You had a good interest in it. So you would have, you probably know a lot about the history of the island. What is it that you learned that came out new and surprising in these stories that were submitted to you?
Well, I was constantly surprised by the stories because they were new to me, and I rightly assumed that they'll be new to the reading public in most cases. Not in all cases, because obviously, especially older residents, know more than I know about the details of people who have lived here before and all that sort of thing. But in the main, I think the book's full of new insights, new history, and I just hope it's a model for it. The whole process being repeated every 2 to 3 years for the rest of time, to capture all the changes, and 10, 20, 30, 50 years go by, and it's a absolutely wonderful record of a small community's history in a higher detail than most other communities have got.
So, have we got anything comparable already on the island that we have recorded some stories that this kind of connects with, that continues that process?
Well, there's been various books on the barrier, but after experiencing the projects done by the Coromandel Town History Group, running competitions to gather the short stories up to 1,500 words, and offering prizes to just offer that small extra inducement to get people to start writing, and they've repeated it 3 times so far, and they've been bestsellers in every case. I just think it's an excellent model for this island, and so it's proved. We've actually got more stories in on this small island than Coromandel got in their area.
That's pretty good going. And as usual here on Great Bay Island, we tend to be quite productive when we put our minds to something.
Absolutely.
Give me an example of who was involved in the writing of the book, and what kind of stories did they tell?
Well, the writing of the book, you mean the contributors?
Yeah.
Bob Whitmore has contributed quite a few, and he's a natural good writer and a good raconteur.
So what did he write about?
He wrote about Hank Hollick in a couple of stories, and him coming out to the barrier in the 50s, and I'm loath to let the cat out of the bag too much.
So tell me, how did the whole project begin? How long have you been working on this, and where did the idea originally come from?
Well, the History Society started up on the end of May, and we started up the book project. It ran for 6 months until the end of April this year, and then by the time the launch comes round on 22nd of October, that will be 17 months from the start-up of the history group. And so I think it was sometime in November 2010 that we started running the 6-month competition for the short stories.
And that you ended up with over 100 stories, I think, and a book to publish, a book ready to come out now in just a few weeks' time. I think that's a pretty good turnaround.
Yeah, it is.
So when the launch is going to be Labour weekend, how's that going to be organised?
That's on Saturday during the market day on the 22nd of October, Labour weekend. Well, a few of us members are going to be there, and in the morning, about 10:30, I think, we'll have the prize giving. The first prize is $400, second prize $300, third prize $200, and hopefully all the prize winners will be there. And then there's 3 further people that have been highly commended for their stories, so I hope they'll be there too. And as soon as the prize giving's over, we'll have the book to sell, and on the day they'll be available to the general public for, as they are now, for $25, a discounted price, and then after that they'll be sold at a higher price, which hasn't been decided on yet. So that helps us get a rapid return on the printing costs, and then by the time we have sold all the 1,000 copies that we're getting printed, that will finally put us into a positive, a positive cash flow, so that we can do more.
And so, for anybody that's listening now and would like to pre-order the book already at that reduced price, how can they go about that?
Okay, for the residents here, just get hold of Karen Cook or Lynn Oxborough, or you can go online at www.greatbarrierislandhistory.org, greatbarrierislandhistory.org, and all the details are there to buy the book online. And so it's simple, really. And on the launch day, we'll have a good float and a good organisation to... I know from the Coromandel prize giving that, and then the book was available, that it was as much as their society could do to keep up with sales at the time.
So you better be there early on Labour Day to make sure you're not going to miss out before everything's sold out. That's good. Okay, thanks, Don. We're just going to take a short break here, play some music, and Karen Cook's joined us now as well, and we're going to talk in the next discussion a little bit more about the Great Barrel History Research Group that's behind this project.